The three biggest conspiracies. Today, we're going to examine the three biggest conspiracies. I'm going to try to convince you today why they are true. I want you to come to it with a devil's advocate position, not completely buying all that you believe. Not completely buying all that you hear, because I'm going to try to really break this down. I got a lot of theories. I got a lot of conspiracy theories, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. This is going to be a fun Friday. We are actually going to get down into the conspiracy tinfoil hat nut jobs that I think we all have deep down inside of us. Sometimes we hide it a little bit more than others. Some people are more comfortable with letting it come out than others. Some people haven't really spent the time to think about it, but there's a lot of crazy things. You're waking up today. There's nothing that's boring in this world, you know? There's nothing that's boring in this world when you actually really step down and look at it and see this. It's incredible, the things that we take for granted and that appear to be mundane. But when we really boil it down, there are so many things behind the scenes that if we really just allow ourselves, our eyes to be opened and our eyes to be willing to hear and see what is underneath the surface, there's a lot we could glean from anything that is right before our eyes and that we encounter every day. My name is Brandon Fogel. This is Evolution. We are going to break down three big conspiracies. One of them I'm sure you heard of. I'm sure you've heard of the first one that we're going to talk about. And these are ones that I believe in. I do. I actually agree with these right here. And there's a lot of other ones that I kind of got on the back burner. I think I need to do a little bit more homework and understanding them. But these today we're going to look at, and I'm not going to just give them all out right out front what we're going to talk about. But the very first one we are going to dive into is the moon landing. The moon landing. Are you unpatriotic to question the moon landing? Are you unpatriotic to question that the government maybe pulled some wool over our eyes in that event occurring? You know, a lot of us weren't living then during that time. A lot of us weren't alive when that actually happened. Some people were I guess it's 50-50. Some people were alive. Some people actually got up, were woken up and saw Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, Buzz Aldrin walking on the moon. So, but it's so far removed. I'm just thinking about like 2 years ago, a year ago, things start to get hazy. And now when we start thinking about 50, 60 years ago, things can get really hazy and new stories can get thrown into the mix and try to convince us otherwise. I am of the opinion that the moon landing was a hoax. It was fake. And I've spent some time, sometimes I'm like, when you put me over, like, I'm a little bit 50-50, and I'm not going to be like, balls to the wall, this is what it is. I'm not backing down at all. I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I have definitely eclipsed the 50-50 mark, and I'm in the 70%, 72%, 80% that it was in all probability fake. I know most people, like, I put this out in a poll, and the overwhelming reaction was, no, it was not a fake. It was real. It really happened. I have some very strong and hard to get on board with that it could have actually happened. And I'm gonna break down the biggest things that stand out to me and how it's hard for me to get on board with is that they say that it would take 10 years of fully investing ourselves into going to the moon again. How we can't make another trip to the moon tomorrow, even though we have astronomically greater technology and advancement than we did even 10 years ago, than we did even 20 years ago. And because the government has made it clear that it would take some very heavy duty time and government resources to actually get to that period again. But we think that we got there back in the 60s, 70s. And it's like, why would they have done that? Why would they have allowed a hoax like that to happen to the American people? Why would they have? I think it was a race against the rest of the world in a very crazy time period. Wars happening, political upheavals happening, and we gotta save face, and we gotta say that we are Americans. We got to the moon. We got to the moon, and we planted the moon and the flag, the moon, the flag of the moon. You can't plant the moon and the flag. But we got there. We did it. All done. We clean it, wash our hands of it, and let's move on with life. We got that picture. We got that video. But when you actually really watch the videos of them on the moon, it doesn't seem real. It seems so much less than Hollywood could even make it. And the equipment that they were using back then, it seems toyish. It doesn't seem that it was real metal or real mechanical devices. It seems very fake. The moon landing to me is one of the biggest hoaxes, and this is going to lead into a couple other ones that we're going to talk about that kind of can propel us into the other two conspiracies that I am going to outline. I'm not always front and center about my conspiracies, but this morning I wanted to do this because I think it's always fun to do it. It's always fun to be in that mindset. It's always fun to be, because we can't just accept everything that is put in front of us. You'd be a fool to accept everything that is put in front of you. It would not. We got to be able to have eyes, discerning eyes. So, and I've seen evidence for both sides. I've seen a lot weaker evidence that's saying that we did go to the moon, and people that argue for that. And a lot of it is just really just how dare you kind of thing. How dare you question that? How dare you not jump on board with that and think that that's silly? And I'm of the opinion, and I've seen a lot of stuff. You know, I have watched a lot of things about it, about how it was fabricated. It was kind of Hollywood-esque, put in front of everybody. It didn't make so. And when the biggest kicker is that we can't get back there tomorrow. Even though we have so much greater technology and advancement, we can't get back there tomorrow. We're already talking about going to Mars. But they say Mars is further away than the moon, but we can't get to the moon. We can't get to the moon tomorrow. And this really just, I don't understand why Joe Rogan, he had Elon Musk on his show last week, and he didn't ask him flat out that question, because he's had many times where he's talked about the moon landing and it being fake, and Joe comes at it, he's full on, it was fake, and he's kind of backed off of it, but then he's like, oh my gosh, yes, it was completely a hoax. It was completely a hoax. And Joe isn't infallible, but I don't understand why he didn't ask Elon Musk flat out. And I think him being his friend, Elon Musk's friend, he doesn't want to put Elon in a bad situation, in a bad circumstance of not wanting to say something that he maybe is not in the appropriate place to say at this time. There's a lot about the moon landing, and this is going to let's go into the next ones. That was the groundwork for the other ones we're going to take a look at, and I wanted to actually show the next one that I am going to argue for is that there is a coordinated, concerted effort from the top echelons. You could say Illuminati. You could say, the biggest dogs on the planet that this isn't just in our lifetime and who are living now, but like the behind the scenes people that are puppeteering and pulling the strings, and a lot of things that are happening that we just see the effects of what happens. We don't see the calls that are making underneath the surface and be in the back room. That there is a coordinated effort, that there will be an alien invasion that will eventually happen, an alien invasion that will actually happen. Now, when I say an alien invasion that will actually happen, it defines I guess I'm getting into my Jordan Peterson. Well, what do you mean by happen? Well, what do you mean by alien? And when I'm saying alien, these are going to be extraterrestrials, people that are not of this planet, of this realm, little green men, who knows? But it's going to be something outside of this atmosphere that's going to insert itself into this atmosphere that's going to make people in awe, in amazement, in wonder. All right, and we're going to take a couple looks at this, and we're going to look at this from a biblical perspective, because the only way that I can make sense of things that are yet to unfold and how could the string of events happen that this actually play out, that this one, I'm not going to say it yet. I'm not going to say it yet. This one event in the future that gets everybody together on board and an absolute terrible persecution against the people of God at the end of time. The only way I can make sense of it, is to insert this extraterrestrial alien encounter that we are going to see. And whether it is just a mirage, a fake, demonic, and that's the real kicker. I believe it will be extraterrestrial aliens, but the kicker will be it's demons and Satan pulling the strings. Satan taking on maybe a form in this world that we are able to see him. All right, we're gonna skip over. We're gonna look over. I'm gonna show a clip of the video Joe Rogan podcast back in 2019 with him and his friends, and we're gonna look at where they are talking about this. Joe Rogan, he's on set right now, but he's about to walk off. He's got to take care of some business. You'll hear what I'm talking about in a second. But his friend starts talking about this alien encounter, this that the people have been planning for eons, and it's going to take place. All right, let's take a quick look at that real fast.
The only way to make a one world government work is to have the people embrace it. They have to want it, because nobody wants it. So the trick is to make people want it, to embrace it. There's only one way.
I gotta pee.
There's only one way.
Joe, this is very
You're
important.
gonna miss
I've
out
heard
on
this. I know this.
Okay.
He's so familiar.
The only way. And they've known this forever. The Vatican knew this. The Vatican, the Pope wanted to rule the world. They all knew it, but they couldn't do it. They all knew it, but they knew one way, but there's no way how they're going to pull it off.
What's the one way, man?
The only way is if there was some extraterrestrial threat from up above us. That would be the only way to have everyone embrace the one world government. They all knew that for years.
But it didn't work
That's
so far.
the plan. They could never
It's a
make
shitty
it work.
plan, though.
All right, so this is the way that's going to set in motion, and we could say it was kickstarted with the moon landing, this whole of us going into space, whether we are actually going into space, and that's its own thing. Space is fake. You've heard of that, and which that technically means is not that literally it's fake out there. It's not real. What we see is not real. It's an illusion, but rather the whole what we've been fed about space, everything that is up there that is happening, that is before our eyes, it's not really what the governments, the top people have told us it is, and they know that, and they're hiding that, they're concealing that. They want to downplay and reorient what is actually happening up there and to fit their own means. So I think there is the top people, the government rulers and authorities that are in power in this world, and then there's the governing, ruling and powers and authorities that are in the heavenly world, the spiritual world, the upper world, the higher world, And sometimes they link arms and they connect and they work together. And I'm going to read a quick passage. I'm not even going to flip there yet. Let me switch screens real fast. The first passage, this isn't it that's on the screen, but the very first passage is from Luke 10. It's only one verse, so I didn't think I would throw it on there. This is Luke 10:18. This is Jesus himself saying, And he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. And there's a lot of debate in that passage. What is Jesus referring to? What is he talking about before time? Is he talking about when Satan fell right before the fall of humanity? Is he talking about a current event that was happening in Jesus's period that he like literally just saw him fall? Is he talking about whenever Jesus went to the cross and he defeated Satan, that is when Satan fell? Is he looking there, or is he looking into the future that he says he's like speaking in a past sense, but it's in the future? There's times in the Bible it talks in a past sense, but it's in the future event. As he's saying, I saw Satan fall like heaven. Is that going to be Satan coming down to the earth, coming to the earth like it talks about in Revelation at the end of time? When the dragon is going to come down to the earth. Is that the event he's talking about? And this, could Satan be taking upon himself something that masquerades as a real fella, a real person, a real thing that enters our atmosphere? Because angels can take on physical bodies. We see events of angels that look like men in the Bible. So Satan can do that. And he only can do that as much as God allows him to do that. He's a dog on a leash. He only goes as far as God will allow him for God's purposes. But is that the event that Jesus is talking about? So there is that as well, that the encounter that is going to happen, an alien invasion, that this has all been building up, folks. This has all been building up since the beginning. Since the intermarrying between angels and the sons and daughters of men that happened. That says the sons of God went into the daughters of men back in Genesis chapter 6. And I just think about like a lot of the things that we have in our, just the previous century. Just the complete, like, exponential advancement of our technology that just went crazy bananas, as opposed to just, you could say thousands and thousands of years before. How did we jump that far in advance that quickly? How did we in our lifetime get the internet? How did we in our lifetime be able to communicate with people across the world instantly, quick, like this fast? And all of this is coalescing into an event that is going to happen. It's going to happen. And I want to say, and the reason I want to talk about it's fun to talk about conspiracies and think about these things, but it's also a warning. It's also like, I mean, I like to just sit down and jack around and talk about like things of this nature, but then also there's going to be an actual event that happens in the future, and we're going to look at that in the next passage. We're going to see that is actually on the screen that you can see. But I want people to be prepared, and like that when it happens, that you are not completely blindsided, and that you completely buy the lie and are bought into the lie, because I think there is going to be an alien invasion. Something is going to happen. And everybody's going to be like, forget religion, forget Jesus, forget the things of the Bible. This is something that is right in front of us. We're going to worship this thing. Whatever it is that comes down, we are going to, like, and it's like, if you're not worshiping it, are you on the other side? Are you on the bad side? We're going to eliminate you. And this is the event that I think is going to allow people to get on board and like all of humanity, which will lead into the third and final conspiracy we're going to talk about. But I want to quickly read. This is 2 Thessalonians that you see on the screen. And it's 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 12. And this is the Apostle Paul. And he's writing to a community of believers in Thessalonica. That's why it's called Thessalonians. And they're in despair and they're sad because people that are just liars and deceivers are telling people and telling them, you missed the second coming of Jesus. You missed it. He came. You missed it. I can't believe you missed it. And Paul writes to them and he makes it clear. He's like, make sure that you understand that if it's a letter from me, I write it in a specific way, and that's why you can know it's my letter. And he encourages them that if the second coming came, you would know. You would know. And he says it in a weird way, a very weird way that we wouldn't naturally think. We would think if Jesus came today or tomorrow, we would see it immediately. The world shut down, game over. Everybody sees that, like, the elements would melt. Everything would just completely stop and a standstill. We would know. But Paul, he does not say that. He does not say that Jesus came because obviously, but he uses this argument and he talks about an event that is going to happen in the future. In the future. And he gives them encouragement by this. And we're going to read this 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 10. Or 3 through 12. Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? And you know what is restraining him now, so that he may be revealed in his time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains it will do so until he is out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will kill with the breath of his mouth and bring to nothing by the appearance of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion so that they may believe what is false, in order that all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. All right, so the latter part of that passage is what we're looking at. I mean, ultimately, this is all from God. We can't like try to get out of and kind of back out of this one. Everything, a terrible event happens in this world. Ultimately, I'm not going to shy away from it. It's from God. God allowed it. Whether he just he took his hands off, but he had a choice. He could have stopped it, but he allowed it to happen. The most horrific, terrible event happens. God allowed it. He's in control, but he allows entities, people sometimes that are doing evil, terrible things to do evil and terrible things, but he's allowing it for his purpose. Like I said, Satan is a dog on a leash, and sometimes people can be a dog on a leash. But I wouldn't really use that analogy for people, because there is a huge difference. People are redeemable and can be saved. Satan cannot be saved. He is destined for destruction. So this is the event that's going to happen. There's going to be signs and wonders, wonders, things that are going to make our eyes not be able to not believe. And it's by God's grace that the elect, the people of God on earth, are not going to buy in. That Christians are the only ones that are not going to embrace this false entity, this false alien, this false whatever that comes from outer space, that comes from out of this world, that enters our planet and our atmosphere, and that we can see, taste, touch, and feel. And the Christians are the ones that are not going to be doing that. And it's by God's grace. So I think that's why we want to appeal to everyone as much as possible. You know, have your eyes open now, be seeking and searching for truth now. So when this deluding, massive delusion happens, you are not easily taken away. All right, now I've talked about the extraterrestrial, and it'll look like extraterrestrial alien for us. That's all we are seeing. Underneath the surface, underneath the skin of the alien, maybe pulling the controls, doing whatever demonic forces doing, is demons, and I don't, because there is a technical difference between, I would say, fallen angels and demons. These evil spiritual forces that are out there, the fallen angels, whatever they are, whatever they have you, they are the ones that are going to be masquerading as this entity that we are all going to see. It's gonna be live streamed. All the governments of the world are going to be pointing their cameras at this thing. Whatever it is, it's going to be coming down. We're going to be making agreements and peace with it, whatever it is. And that's what's going to get everybody on board and saying, we got to come together, folks. We got to come together. And this is where the third conspiracy, and that I think is also everything is pointing towards. And from the beginning of time, there's government authorities that don't want this to happen because they lose power. But then there's always the higher, topper, bigger, the ones that are pulling the strings that want this to happen. That maybe not even be technically in the governments of these things, but are above the governments. These people, whoever they are, the globalists, whatever you want to call them, they are putting into motion this one world government that is going to happen. And the only thing that is going to allow that to happen is going to be this event. This is the only way that all nations are going to link arms. And we're going to see right here, I'm going to skip to, you can already see it, but I can't. All right. Revelation. Okay, Revelation 13, 1 through 10. The Apostle John is writing. He's seen into the future what is going to take place. He's seen into the future. This is what is he's getting visions of what is actually going to occur and happen. We have it written for us. It's like it's an eternal newspaper that we could go to and we can look at and see what is going to happen. We don't know the exact timing, but he says, "And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its heads. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed. And the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, 'Who is like the beast? And who can fight against it?' And the beast was given a mouth, uttering haughty and blasphemous words. And it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all who dwell on earth will worship it." I'll say that again. "And all who dwell on earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has ears to hear, if anyone has an ear, let him hear." So, and all who are on earth will worship it. And it gives that little caveat. All who are not written in the Lamb's book of life. If your name is not in the Lamb's book of life, and there's the argument, the debate. Can you kind of get yourself? Can you put yourself in the Lamb's book of life? Do you still have a chance to put yourself in there? It says from before the foundation of the world. So there's the debate. I would argue the people that are God's people will come to him. But that's it for another discussion. The discussion right here is all who are on earth that are not in the Lamb's book of life are going to be worshiping whatever this figure is, whatever it is. And if you don't, you die. If you don't, you die. So this is all the governments locking arms, throwing their hands in, giving a little hurrah and jumping in together and, and saying, we're in this together. We're in this together. We worship this beast. We love this beast. It's not going to be called, it probably won't be called a beast. It might be in the future. It might have a name that say the beast or whatever. But people don't even care. They've forgotten all about the Bible. The amazement and wonder of what is happening before them. This stuff of talking about Jesus is going to be so far removed from their minds because they were not wanting truth when they had the opportunity. So right now, everybody has the opportunity. Do you want truth or not? Do you actually want it? Seriously, do you want to know what is true or not? At that point, it's over. Game over. Your soul, your destiny is set. You've already chosen. Because they will worship the beast. They will worship this entity. The whole government's going to link arms. Everybody's going to be doing it. Everybody's going to be in on it. And then the massive persecution, the Jacob's trouble that it talks about. At the very end, that God's people will be hunted and destroyed. And then, the line will be set. You will be on one side or the other. Your destiny is secured and final. So right now, now is the time to choose. Embrace Christ so that you are not deceived when this event occurs. And that is the final conspiracy this morning. We'll leave it at that.
I'm in $1 million.